Alright, we're looking at the Desiderata. Go placidly mine, or amid the noise in haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence, as far as possible without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others. Even the dull and the ignorant, they too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be greater for lessons persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you what the virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere's life is full of heroism. Be yourself, especially do not find affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face for all ardourity and disenchantment. It is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly in the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of the spirit of its shield you send misfortune. Do not distress yourself in the dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Be unwholesome discipline. Be gentle of yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than a trace within the stars. You have the right to be here. And whatever lies is clear to you. No doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, to be at peace with God, whatever you convince Him to be, and whatever you labors and aspirations. In the noisy confusion of life, keep peace with your soul, with all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams. It is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful, strive to be happy. Max Ehrman, Max Ehrman, Desiderata, copyright 1927. Questions, actions. Find at least 3 words you didn't know when you read this. Look up for definitions and define them. What does this poem make you think? Why does this poem make you feel? What parts of the poem do you think reflects on the 3 R's of North explain? What are least 3 concepts for the poem that we can apply to this class? How can we apply these concepts in class? Create examples. Geologic history legend 2 agenda. Last week we read about how science used fossils to understand the history of our planet. Today we're going to take a deeper look at the what the fossil is and how they become to be. Let's review the fossils. Find a presentation here. Video lecture here.
Okay, guys, today we're going to talk about geologic time and the history of Earth, which is Earth's timeline and some fossils. So, the Earth is really old. Rock record, fossil record suggests it is at least 4.5 billion years old. So, we're looking at rocks
Miss Shireman, you need
there
love,
in the Earth,
man.
right? Fossils that we have found, soil samples, and artifacts like clay pots, tools, cave paintings, and all of this that tells us or suggests to us that our planet is very, very old. Um, while we can't really create a beginning of life timeline because the fossil record is incomplete and we can only really get just a snapshot. But it is believed that life has existed on our planet for about 3.5 billion of those 4.5 billion years. Um, and that it was probably bacteria.
That is a lot of information. Let's look at the fun side of fossils too. Fun fossil video. Time to practice using what we just learned. Fun the interactive here. And let's practice being paleontologists. Should take about 20 minutes to complete all 10 fossils. You don't have to turn this in as long as you just sign in to the discovery. It will keep track of your progress and I can view it. Finish creation myth assignment and turn it in here. Alright. I could have just watched the whole video, but I didn't feel like it. So yeah. I'm sure there's another Geologic video that I can watch. Yeah, screw that mask bullshit that I have to deal with every single day. That everybody has to deal with. We're not going to be doing it for much longer, though. I promise, guys. Daily Journal, 18 and 19. Open your digital journey and add today's date in the following prompt of your journal. What are you most proud of? This is short, but I'll take that too. I'm pretty sure there's another Geologic. There it is. There it is. Finally. Geologic timeline activity. Papers should be oriented in a landscape format. You should draw a line across the middle of the page. Use a ruler to make sure your line is straight. Put the year your time period began on side of your timeline and the year your time period ended on the other end of your timeline. Your timeline should have the name of your timeline period at the top. You will add the information that you have researched for your timeline. Information can be recorded above and below the time. You must include at least 3 pictures of those 3. One must be in hand drawn. For your assigned time periods, research the following information when your specific time period started and ended. Are these 3 recorded events during this time period? If so, add those time to your timeline. A description of what the earth is like, what sorts of plants it would be growing, what sorts of animals, other things will be in living. Are there any species that was alive that are alive now? What current species would be the most closely related to? Was there an extinction event? What caused it? What kind of fossil evidence do we have time for this period? Any other interesting facts? For this sign extinction events, what catastrophic event happened to cause the extinction? What possible causes are believed to have caused said catastrophic event? What sorts of organisms died? What sorts of organisms survived? Same formatting applies. Time periods: Cambrian period, Orbit, Ordovician period, Silurian period, Devonian period, Mississippian period, Pennsylvania period, Permian period, Triassic period, Jurassic period, Cretaceous period, Paleogene period, Neogen period, Quaternary period, Ordovician, Silurian extension, Late Devonian extension, Permian Triassic extension, Triassic Jurassic extension, Cretaceous Paleogene extension. I was gonna say something about Charmin. I could have just stayed in her class for a while. I mean, I know some of my friends are gonna be in that gas teacher for a while, but don't I don't mind it at all. Ess Journal Prompt. Good morning. Before leaving your journal, Lesson for fossils. I would like to take the first 15 minutes to spend more time writing on your digital journal. Please add today's journal prompt into your digital journal. Set a 15-minute timer. Reflect on the following questions. What mistake have you made that you learned from? Also, what is a way that you're going to challenge yourself in a day for this week? Yeah, Miss Sharman's really strict about people leaving early. You better watch out for her, or she will, she will try to track you down. I mean, like, come on now. Your Earth Space Science Creation Myth assignment, August 20th. Today's assignment: Creation Myth Research Project and Big Bang Theory Explanation. As we look at the scientific explanation, as we look at the scientific explanation for the creation of the Earth and the life that resides on it, we are also going to investigate some creation myths throughout history that describes how the Earth and all life on it came to existence. What to do: select three myths from the list. Create a new Google slide presentation. Share the presentation to the labeled Its Learning folder. What to include: a detailed description of each of the creation myths. When did it originate, if you can find it? What geographic region did you originate in? Be as descriptive as possible about the components of the story. A picture that represents the story. At least two sources listed on the notes section. Select three. Egyptian creation myth. Bashango creation myth. Japanese Shinto creation myth. Comanche creation myth. The Ajuano creation. Hindu creation myth. Tahitian creation myth. Fon creation myth. Ankalon Kolo creation myth. Mayan creation myth. Aztec creation myth. Navajo creation myth. Inca creation myth. Mongol creation myth. Norse creation myth. Hebrew creation myth. Islamic creation myth. Maori creation myth. Hawaiian creation myth. The Nature of Science Lesson 2. Agenda. Watch this short video discussing the limitations of science. What does it seem about, honestly?
I'm going to start with the foundations of science and biology.
What is
I
it?
want to start with an introduction to science. You know, there are a lot of misconceptions out there about science, but I'm going to take a quote from one of my favorite scientists of all time, Dr. Carl Sagan. He was an astronomer at Cornell University, and more than just being a scientist, he was also a very strong science advocate. And he said, "Science is much more than a body of knowledge, it is a way of thinking. This is central to its success. Science invites us to let the facts in, even when they don't conform to our preconceptions." Here are the learning outcomes for this chapter. I'm not going to read all of these, but you should go over them.
Let's take a deeper look at this limit boundaries of science. To understand the scientific process, we have to understand that some important science vocabulary words. To start, open up the Slides Vocabulary Project. You can use the limits and boundaries presentation to start defining these important terms. Now that we know some of these terms, let's practice applying to them to scientific scenarios and scientific method activity. Open up your daily journal, add the following topic to your journal prompts. Then spend 10 to 15 minutes responding to your prompt. How has the coronavirus pandemic affected your life? Please remember there are no wrong answers when you are completing your journal activities. I am simply trying to get to know you a little better to understand how you operate the world around you. Make sure you understand and you are caught up and understand how to utilize its learning to access materials and turn them in. Basically, yeah, Miss Sharman's pretty chill. She'll let you do whatever you want, but don't use causing distraction. She don't like that. She ain't into it, man. She will not appreciate that. She doesn't deserve to be called out by, you know, what I'm talking about. Alright, the nature of science. Lesson part one. Before we begin, Before we begin today's lesson, open a daily journal and spend 10 to 15 minutes answering the following question. What are you most excited about this fall semester? It can be what you are excited to learn about. What experiences are you excited to have? Why do we study science? Before we look at what science is, we are going to look at some of the reasons we should study science, and how bad science is often presented to the masses. Start with representation. Why do we study science? Create a document or slide for an activity. Examine each of the following knowledge statements and put them in the order for the least scientific for the most scientific on a spectrum. You are ranking the entire statement, least scientific or most scientific. All living things are composed of one or more cells. We know this because every living these things examine the date that has been found composed of one or more cells. If you break a mirror, you have 7 years of bad luck. The earth is flat. Anyone can see it. Taking vitamin C prevents the common old. Linus Pauling, the cold one, the Nobel Robert, who discovered it, says it does. Humans have a soul. I believe this because it says no, because it says so in a symbol. The soul is what you separate us from animals. The ray is acceleration of all falling projects of the Earth is constant. Two spheres of an identical diameter and volume are dropped from the top of the building. One is steel and one is plastic polymer. They both will accelerate, or at the same rate, 32 feet or S2, and hit the ground at the same time. Watch volume video about the scientific method and what science is all about. I know the sisters. You can watch that video. And now that we know a little bit more science, take a knowledge about and complete the Sunset Souls and Senses assignment. Complete the science ease versus science isn't jumble. When you have completed the assignment, you need to turn it into the Sunset Souls and Senses Dropbox, which can be found outside or inside of the Nature Science folder. Add a copy of your completed jumble assignments to your Sunset Souls and Senses Dropbox. If you have questions for Ms. Sharman, let her know. She is available to help you tomorrow. I do miss her. I do miss her though. Basically, Miss Shireman does not care if you eat. I should have stayed with her on, uh, you know, Earthspace Science, but Metallica, she's probably in Earthspace Science. I'm not really sure yet. I'm not sure if she's actually in Earthspace Science anymore, or I mean, who knows? All right, let's do. I'm gonna do using Discovery Education. Goal: I can comfortably navigate Discovery Education with confidence. Engage: what are some characteristics of a textbook that you like? What do you dislike? Be sure to be ready to share your likes and dislikes. Explore: discover more about your textbooks and Discovery. But first, let's get logged in. We will only have to do these steps once. Then you will be able to quickly and easily access your textbook. We will be using the Google Slides presentation here together. If you want to open it and follow along, feel free to. Apply. Next, you'll be exploring your discovery textbook by completing a scavenger hunt. Click here to access the worksheet. Make a copy of the worksheet to fill in the worksheet. When you are finished, please submit through Its Learning. Extend. If you finish early, please look through the different units and chapters we will be covering this year and choose one to investigate further. In the space below, write down which chapter you are looking most forward to and why. Then move on to the Reflect section below. Reflect. Reflect on your experience using the Discovery textbook today. In the space below, please write 2 aspects that you write about online book and 2 aspects that you aren't a fan of regarding the online book. Fan of, not a fan of. Finally, how do you list your comparable what you liked and dislikes about your textbooks in the engaged section? Were there any similarities, differences? Record your findings in the space below. When you are finished, please submit to her on Learning if you have her. I didn't do much on Charmin. I did a little bit of work. Um, my junior year was pretty hard, honestly. I didn't even know what I was doing, honestly. I did not know. Okay, so how do you use Discovery Technicials? How can you use a Discovery textbook? Once in Discovery, click on Social Studies Test Textbook. This is a scavenger hunt. Click on Chapter 1, Slavery in the United States. Click on 1.1, Antebellum, America. Find the 5 tabs and name them below. You are in the Engage tab. What is the name of the textbook article? Orange title. Click on the Explore tab. What is the name of the one video segment at the bottom of the page? Watch one of the videos using your headphones. What is the one thing you learned from this video? In the Explore tab, read pages 1 through 3 as you read highlight at least 2 important pieces of the information by clicking on the Tools info or using the Highlight feature. Then changing the reading level to be English Reading Level B. What did you highlight? What happened to you when you changed the reading level? Click on the Elaborate tab, name the first activity on the line below. How do you highlight text? How do you speak to text? How do you use the note feature? Click on the Tools info section. What did you find there? How could you use my notebook to class? Which concludes 16 points. Planet Cybabon. Here's the situation. Planet Earth is dying out. Luckily, scientists have discovered a new planet with an atmosphere that will support human life. In a news for Planet Earth, the planet Cybabon, the officials have decided to create few new rules and regulations in terms of parenting. We are trying not to kill planet Cybabon as we do not planet Earth. The board thought the best way to do this would be to place some stricter rules on parents, the main people who raise the next generation. You have been selected to sit to the community who creates new parenting laws. The meeting is tomorrow. You have been asked to come to the meeting with the following ideas: a list of 10 characteristics or circumstances that should automatically disqualify a person for being a parent, and a brief explanation of why this list should disqualify someone for raising a child. A list of 5 characteristics or circumstances that you think a parent should exhibit. A brief explanation of why these would be important qualities in parents. A list of 5 rules that should be enforced in each household and reaching and the reason why you should select the rules you did. Describe an outline for a parenting test, which adults will have to pass before becoming a parent. Lastly, create just one example of each type of knowledge pages 49 to 50, that parents should have to treat their children, give an example of a good way to achieve that particular piece of knowledge. Four types of knowledge are explicit, implicit, scientific, and knowledge about experts. But timing of experiences. Critical periods, time when some part of the body is very vulnerable to the lack of stimulation or the negative experiences. Examples: sensitive period, times when the brain is tested at best, able to wire specific skills for all children. Why would we know one to all these? The window of opportunity, a prime period of a child's life for developing a particular skill. In this window, a child reaches a peak capacity to learn the skill given the opportunity. Windows of vulnerability. What happens to the windows of opportunity isn't met? Motor, vision, language, social, emotional, thinking skills include math, music. Skill area, sensitive time, motor, posture and coordination, large muscle, small muscle, birth 2 years, birth 5 years, 6 months and 9 years. Vision, sight, osity, and binocular, birth 4 to 6 months, birth 7 years, 1 to 3 years. Language, phonemes. In language, one will speak the idea of the connection between words and objects. Vocabulary, syntax, birth to 7 to 11 months, 4 months and 1 year, birth 3 years, birth in 6 years. Social, attachment, independence, cooperation, birth 2 years, 1.5 years, and 3 years, 2 to 4 years. Emotional, trust, intelligence, represent emotion, control, cope with stress. Birth 14 months, 4 years, 3 years, and 2 years. Thinking skills including math. Pre-logical, logical. 6 months for 5 years, 5 for 6 years, or purity. Music, absolute perfect pitch. Appreciation, learning. Birth 5 years, 9 years, 3 and 9 years. What is the best way to make sure children are getting these windows met? Thoughts. Children need choices on how to learn. They learn how to through play, especially with caring adults. Following the child's ideas in play, best practice. Kids will usually pick activities that are age appropriate, that are parallel in a windows of opportunity. Stock a few different items to aid in their play. Suggestions. What kind of toys offer the most possibilities for children to grow? If you guys have any questions, let me know. I gotta show you this video too. I'm gonna go back um to the syllabus. Oops, sorry. I gotta I was gonna find that kind of thing, but I don't have it, so yeah. I'm gonna go back to the um there was that video called the Earth and Space the introduction. Most of you guys already watched, but I don't care if you watched that, but let's do one more. Copy the 10.3. Chapter 10 test on December 4th or 6th. Students will analyze while people drink or abuse alcohol. Write the words listed below on a piece of paper, follow directions below, and except when you finish, stand up and wait for my directions or for our snowball fight. Word slap. List the following terms: alcoholic, enabler, binge drinking, alcoholics, anonymous, drug use, and drug abuse. On a sheet of paper, leaving space next to each term, as shown below, write the first thing you think you hear each term. Then switch your paper trust with as many students as you can in the time allotted by your teacher. But write something new for each term of your classmates' papers. Do not repeat any comments for previous students. When the time is up, get your own paper back to read what your classmates wrote. Share your notes with the class. Alcoholic, enabler, binge drinking, alcoholics, anonymous, drug use and abuse. Pick two of the following activities, matching vocabulary review, and submit for its learning or show your teacher when you finish. With a noble partner, discuss why he will drink. 30 seconds. Rotate so you can talk to 3 different people. List all 3 reasons. Then post it note and put it up to a whiteboard. You can also use your book pages 300 to 305. Answer to the thinking critically questions on page 304. If you finish early, challenge growth. Go to the links to read more about alcohol. Resource for you. Pick an activity to do for an assessment and our practice for your honest learning. Select a book for the closet library to read when you finish early. See next page for more options. Go to Search Institute list and search a list of things that you think teachers should do to build developmental relationships. Exit ticket. Write on the whiteboard something you learned today. I already told you about this. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions about this page or other pages that I could go back again. All right. I think you guys are good.